Welcome to the Flex Forward podcast, where grit meets growth. With your host, Nick Espanet, bringing you stories of resilience, reinvention, and the real climb to success.
All right, everyone, welcome to the Flex Forward podcast. Today, we're joined by Prem. Prem is a CTO and head of AI at Hitachi Digital Services. I'm excited to hear, kind of his path and his journey and learn more about him. Prem, welcome to the Flex Forward podcast. We're glad to have you. Can you let our listeners know a little bit about you and kind of what it is you do at your job?
Sure, Nick. Thank you so much, and it's a privilege and pleasure to be a part of this podcast. So thanks for inviting me. Uh, from my background, again, let me start with Hitachi. What I do today here, as a CTO and a head of AI, my role is largely shaping the technology strategy for the company as such, both from go-to-market solutioning for our customers from a tech landscape standpoint, as well as telling our own associates what and where they should focus on as individuals to get trained on technology, and also working with our teams to enable that for our workforce. So it's kind of a broad role. Head of AI is something that maybe I picked up in the last 1.5 years because AI has become such a big thing that you need to really have a strategy around it. And this is not AI in the traditional sense that many of us have been used to, which is like a lot of data science folks and a core team that goes and does something. This is really now the commoditized AI that we are all living with and touching and feeling every day.
So. And I think we have to. I'm in the real estate world, and we've had to get an AI. And then I have a close friend that they are working with. He's much more on the technology side, but doing stuff with banks and how to do the underwriting and just all this stuff that can be utilized with banks. So it's fascinating. And like you said, the year and a half, it feels like 2 years ago or 5 years ago, you would not have thought about having a head of AI. I don't think at a major corp or anywhere. And now it's just taking off like a rocket.
I agree. Again, chief AI officer, as some of the companies call it, head of AI, as we call it. I think these are very critical roles that are coming up because right from the top, there is a need for having an AI strategy for companies. But the biggest difference is not building AI, but building with AI, right? That's the biggest difference.
So it's going to be there, right?
Yes.
Well, in the technology world or AI or IT, there's a lot of competition. What is something that has set you apart that's helped you to be able to achieve, reach the levels that you have?
So I think there are three things in my mind, Nick, that has set me apart or set me up for success. I do believe that my career so far has been successful and pretty satisfying. The first thing I would say is, obviously, I'm very grounded and I'm a practitioner. So even today, I write code. My aim is, hey, if I don't do something, I can't go talk with conviction to our customers and actually tell my customers what they should be looking at. So that's definitely been one that I've been practicing for a very long time, right? Whatever level you are, it doesn't matter. Whatever little you could, I think you should do to learn something and then do it, to have that conversation, especially when it comes to technology. And I think that's been significantly helping me because I was on the AI bandwagon very fast, and I've been doing that. So when I talk about it, I talk real stuff that cannot be done. So
you've done it. You've had your hands in it, and
exactly. So that's definitely one that's kept me afloat. The second, I would say, you could call it luck, you could call it destiny, you could call it whatever you want, but my journey, I've been very, very lucky and blessed for having some fantastic mentors my way. So right from when I joined the workforce back in '98 in India to who I grew up with in Cognizant, some of my managers in Cognizant, some of the managers that I worked for a very long time. So again, they know when they hear this, I'm talking about them, but telling names may or may not help. But they have been shaping my career extremely, and not just career, right from when I walk into a meeting, how am I dressed, how am I sitting and talking to people, what's my tone, what we should use. Again, there's a ton of things that I learned beyond just technology, right?
Sure.
As a part of that as well, second bullet, I think significant knowledge came from my work itself. So I was very, very lucky to be a part of a team that we called as Save Our Systems back then. It was largely a firefighting team. So whenever there are production issues, we fly into that location, the customer, and then start working. And at a very young age, I was doing crisis after crisis, and these are applications failing in production. So you work with stressed executives, really frustrated, not knowing what's going on, revenue losses in their face. Well, I was at an age where I didn't understand the business impact of what's happening, but at least I knew the tech impact.
Sure.
But that shaped me extremely well as an individual and gave me the breadth of knowledge that helps me be where I am today. And finally, I should say, obviously, right, without family, nothing happens.
Sure.
My wife has been extremely supportive. My parents, phenomenal. So it's been a pretty good and a blessed journey, I would say, luck, as we call it, or somebody says God, somebody says luck, whatever it is.
Yeah.
I'm not held beyond myself to be where I am.
Yeah. Well, and I think there's a lot of hard work. There is a little bit of luck in life, but I think I've heard it called luck is when preparation meets opportunity, and you've just prepared and took all that stuff in and learned from each one of those events that you've had in life, and that sets you up when you have the opportunity.
I
And
agree with that, Nick. That's definitely the part, right? Getting the opportunity is one, but I also believe that you should use the opportunity well. And
be ready
then,
for it.
yeah, and you never learn everything, right? I mean, you never know everything. You learn in every incident you learn, like every time, every interaction. So that open-mindedness has also helped me a lot. So
Yeah, and then that thing about that reminds me when you say learning every opportunity. You never want to be the smartest person in the room, because then you want to surround yourself with smarter people so you can you can learn and bring yourself up too, and be able to contribute to them, but also it helps you grow being in that smarter room. What about as you've gone along your journey? What is something that you found came easier to you that others may have found challenging?
so again, right, these are purely opinionated in my mind, so people can or cannot agree with what I'm saying, but this is what I believe. One of my biggest strengths, Nick, has been owing to the journey that I've gone through, to be honest. I did whatever I spoke about from a firefighting standpoint. I did that job for over 13, 14 years of my mid career, which is when you grow really into a person. And what it did was really put a lot of business perspective into what I do as a technologist. So one of the key aspects that I hear when I talk to my CEO or when I talk to anybody is I do have a nice ability to stitch business and tech, so I can go down to a level of a developer and spend time with them on understanding code as much as I can go up to a CEO and a board and present what it means to them. So that's been a very good aspect of mine that's really helped me with. And I've consciously worked on honing that aspect of my skill because I believe a lot of technologies, core technologies, get stuck with deep technical knowledge, but the ability to translate that and tell it to somebody that's not as technical as them and having the patience to explain it becomes a problem for many of them.
Yeah, and that's got to be important because your end user is who's got to. You can come up with the best IT, best tech thing in the world, but if your end user can't figure it out, it's worthless at that point. If
That's
the people that
exactly
are going to
why.
be operating on it.
Yeah, and that's exactly why I believe sets me apart a little bit than a lot of because there are many more smarter people than me. It's just no doubt about that. But some of these aspects help me stand out in the crowd like that.
Well, that's good stuff. And what a blessing that you did that firefighting role where you were getting the economic side or the financial side at the same time you're getting the IT side. So then be able to utilize that later in life. So great, what a great story. So that's something to think about, everybody. When you're early in your career, you're doing kind of grinding. You never know where that experience is going to benefit you down the road somewhere.
Exactly, absolutely, Nick. It also gave me another advantage that I didn't speak about. So as much as the job was very stressful because I was on a flight every 3, 4 weeks, and I used to travel again. Yeah, I was based out of India at the time, but I used to travel the world for wherever the customer was.
Okay.
And each of these engagements run 4 to 5 weeks. It's not like months, so you have very little time to learn the system, but you've got to fix the problem, right? So it's
Sure.
a
Oh, wow.
pretty intense cooker that you're sitting in. You are inside a pressure cooker every time you go. But what that does teach you is the patience, the ability to manage crisis, which is all leadership qualities that people get when they are more matured and stuff. So, which is why I said it's a
Sure.
blessing. So, I never saw it as a pain point. But the associated fact also, Nick, was the cultural diversity that I had the advantage of working with. So, I worked in Europe, I worked in APAC, Singapore, Malaysia, I've worked in US in a lot of places. Uh, so my perspective on people is everyone is good until proven otherwise. So,
Yeah.
and it doesn't matter, it transcends culture. People have by nature good qualities. And so it just helps me gel more with people as well. My collaborative capabilities are pretty good.
Well, that's such a good perspective to go in with, because then, and I agree. I think the vast majority of people are good, and you need to approach it that way, and until proven otherwise. But good stuff. So, if someone's listening and wants to learn to get better at something, either their career or personal wise or health wise, do you have anything that you would suggest or any tips or that you can give them?
So I'll go backwards. Health wise, I don't think I have the best tip to give because I think it's very um, it depends on each individual, so I don't want to get there. But career wise, I think learning is the biggest thing that everyone should embrace. Learn is what it is, and it doesn't matter what you learn, and it will help you at any point in time. That's number one. Number two, if you pick up a job, then you pick up the job. You don't complain on it. You just
Mhm.
try and enjoy the job as much as you can. Like I picked up the firefighting job. It was stressful, but I never complained. But then when I reflect back at it now, I can talk so much about how it helped me. But at the time, I did not know how it will help me. Every time I
Sure.
get on a flight, I am rushing to a place where it's going to where it is a stressful situation. We need to solve a problem. Sometimes I used to think, why am I even doing this? Should I move out? But I've always stuck to it. So it's about embracing the job that you pick up. So pick up the job that you like,
Hmm.
and then like the job that you've picked up as much as you
Yeah.
can. So from a career standpoint, that will just help grow, Nick. And the third thing is, uh, I think, and I genuinely believe, sharing knowledge in a career is the best way to grow. It doesn't matter. You should never feel threatened that, hey, why should I tell everything I know? It's what you know is not your advantage. So, but those are my big recommendations for anybody who's growing, right? Hey, never be fearful of sharing knowledge. Just let everybody know what you know. It doesn't matter. Uh,
Love
and
it.
then that makes space in your system, both from a psychological standpoint as well as the hunger standpoint, to go and learn more, because now that you've spread it, you need to know something more to be better. That means that's the advantage you're getting, that keeps your learning hunger going and going. So that's my biggest learning as well as recommendation to anybody. Learn a lot, share a lot.
That's awesome. And what I mean, I think you have it's lifting others up. It's not being afraid to lift others up and share that knowledge and help them. What a great positive attitude that you have on all things. If it's get the job and work hard at it. Don't complain, and then share your knowledge. I love that. Couple of awesome things that are going to lift others up, and you'll go up with them.
Absolutely. And I have an example of it. Whether, I mean, everybody can argue at what level you are, whether it is higher up enough, or you could do more, or you could have done more. It's all fine, right? But the critical aspect is what how satisfied are you with where you are? I am very satisfied with where I am. I believe this is success for me, but I do earn to go more and aspire. My aspirations are my aspirations. On the personal front, the only thing that I follow and everybody follows in my family is if we don't have anything good to say about somebody, we don't say anything. That's pretty much it. There is no bad talk, right?
Yeah.
That's the second thing. Personally, I think that may impact your positive health as well. So just stay
For
positive.
sure. Well, I think if you
Okay.
have that negative attitude, you talk about the reticular activating system or just kind of what you focus on is where your energy is going to go. So if you're talking negative about somebody, you're gonna see more negative. It's gonna make you see more negative about other people. So I love that, and we have the same thing with our kids. Like, hey, it's, you don't have anything positive to say. Let's just you don't need to talk about them
Yeah, that's absolutely right.
because you end up almost in like a snowball when you start talking negative. And the same thing, if you're speaking positive, I think you can be a snowball for positive energy or just about that person that's gonna, and you're gonna find those things that are more positive and uplifting about that person.
Absolutely, Nick.
What is one of the biggest challenges you've had to overcome in your career path?
So, say again, the biggest challenge in my career is understanding the perspectives. In a lot of times, in my early career, I've had situations where I've really put my foot down and I've said, "Hey, we should do A, B, and C," which seemed right for me at that point in time. But what it doesn't take into account is when I argue this with my manager. Again, like I said, I've been blessed with good managers. We've had arguments with them and I've gotten away with it. Uh, so they've been very open-minded. But whenever I've done that, it's a I've learned later. So obviously, I walk out pretty unsatisfied with whatever decisions they made. But only when you get to that part, you start to understand why those decisions are made. And
Mm.
why do the reason why I say that's a challenge is I felt those things were stopping me from doing what I want to do. But I think when you think of a corporate, there are certain guardrails that are meant to be there for purposes, for everybody's benefit, not an
Mhm.
individual or a group. And early ages, I don't think I understood it well, but some of these experiences made me understand. So that was, but other than that, again, like I said, big challenges technically. There are a lot. You got to be very sharp. You got to be on your toes. That is a challenge. Today is a challenge for all of us. Like all technologists that you look around, today we are in the fastest changing tech landscape. But if you put it in perspective, this is the slowest it is going to be.
What a good perspective because tomorrow's going to be faster, right?
So, what better challenge that you can live through, right? Because you are a technologist, your life is about being sharp in technology, and that's just changing under your feet at a rate at which it's hard to keep up. So, I think that's the challenge that probably I'm in the most challenging
Yeah, no,
times of
that's
my life.
great. And what a good perspective that today is the slowest it's going to be because it's
Yes.
just going to it's accelerating. Well, that's awesome. Good stuff. Well, congratulations. Sounds like things are going really well. And I know as a lot of busy executives start doing well, they start making more income. And, for example, when I was a PT, I had to see a lot of patients, though, to be able to have the income. And so a lot of folks start looking at different alternative investments or looking out in their future of ways to supplement or maybe even replace some of their income, maybe stocks, bonds, mutual fund, or real estate. What are your thoughts on creating outside income?
So again, I'm not one of the best guys to ask this advice, Nick, to be honest. I've had my mistakes as I grew, and people have helped me shape my own finance as well. I do work with a couple of external companies to help manage it, or individuals rather, to help me manage my stuff. Um, what the one thing I would recommend is for people to really, even at a very early age of their career, understand the avenues for you to save money, because I didn't have a great knowledge of 401k, for example, when I joined in the US first. had very little to no clue. So I've not
Mm-hmm.
contributed enough in that during the early times of my life. So it took me maybe my mid 30s to learn about it, which I thought was very late. But for people that are coming into the system, that is a fantastic place to start. And I think there are tons of those that are available. Options are there. You should, again, parents should teach their kids, or kids should reach out where places they can as they go into the job. A part of it is spending, enjoying life, but I think there is a part that's saving.
You
And you
definitely
start
want to,
saving early, it's better.
yeah, plan for the future. And that's something I wish high school and college had more, like personal financing
Yeah.
classes that people could utilize and take advantage of over some of the other classes that, because I think that's something that could really benefit people on how to save, how to prepare, and just to open their eyes up to those things. We work on trying to educate our kids in our house, but it's not taught to the vast majority of the public. I don't think get that.
I agree. I totally agree.
So stuff. So as we're wrapping up the interview, do you have any exciting plans or initiatives in the next 6 to 12 months?
Oh yeah, again. The biggest plan I have, Nick, is continue to learn and swim through this tide. That's the bigger one we have. I have my task cut out as the organization that I work for. So as the CTO of the organization that I work for, so there's a ton of stuff that we need to do to shape. So my next 6 to 12 months professionally is a lot that I need to give back to the company that shaped my life. So it's important for me to work and shape. Hitachi has been a fantastic enterprise to work for. A very, very people-friendly company, like was Cognizant. So um, the priorities for the next 12 months is how do we start to think about AI impacting workforce and what could we do to help the workforce? That's going to be
Mm-hmm.
very important because as we keep hearing a ton of these um, news around headcount reduction and stuff like that. Every day I see a bunch in the news. Um, I wouldn't want to be on either side of that. So what does that mean? How do we help? So those are things along with how do we also become one of the leaders in this space as an organization? What is it that we are doing? So a lot of that is shaping up, and that's where my most of my mind space goes in the recent days.
Well, good stuff. Well, Prem, thank you so much for your time and sharing some wonderful information and tips with our listeners. If people would like to get in touch with you, what's the best way they can do that?
They can look me up on LinkedIn. That would be the best place to do. And um, my LinkedIn is Prem Balasubramanian Hitachi Digital Services. You would find me there.
Yeah, and information will be in the description of the podcast also.
Okay.
Well, Prem, thank you so much, and everyone, thank you for tuning in and listening. We really appreciate you giving us some of your time today. Be sure to like and share these episodes. And Prem, again, thank you very much. I enjoyed getting to know you. I love your positive attitude and just the positive outlook. It gives me more energy to keep focusing that way.
Thank you so much, Nick, and thanks for all the people who are listening. Appreciate it.
Thanks for listening to the Flex Forward podcast. If you've got grit, growth, and a great story, visit flexforwardpodcast.com/guest to apply and join us on the show.